What's on your evil mind?
Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. Yay! Yeah. Of course. Fundamental thing that I forget to do is I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need at Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. South Carolina with Columbia down the way, because I don't think I have that one on me. But I do have that one. And well, I'm here by myself. Normally, agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads would be with us from the planet of Brooklyn. So you know what? In his stead, I'll just do a couple of...
And now, directly from the planet of Brooklyn.
It's the place where I stay.
Is Brooklyn in the house? Mr. Brooklyn Way.
You know what it is, but that would be Agent 70 if he was here. But he's not. He's on assignment. He's on mission. He's Oscar Mike. All of that kind of good joint. But so it's just me tonight, and we're gonna try to see if we could do this. Well, with as little bumps as possible. I mean, I've done this before, so it's not like it would be my first time hosting by myself, and I didn't pull anybody in, so that's a whole nother situation. One of these days I actually will, because there is definitely a couple other people that I would absolutely enjoy getting up in here, but I was too lazy. If we be honest, I was too lazy and scared to be asking people, so that's kind of that. Either way, we're gonna get right off into the proceedings, starting off with, there we go, the first book that I have to talk about, which is Thundercats, Silverhawks, Thunderhawks number 2 of 5. So the creative team on this book is Ed Brisson, writing it, art by Vincenzo Federici, colors by Robbie Bevard, and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So this is a whole part of the whole Thundercats Silverhawks crossover, which is going on. There are 3 books in this. That's the regular Thundercats book, that's this book, and there's the Mumra book that are all a part of this. All of them are going to have 5 parts to them, and this is the second part of all of those. So Thunderhawks deals with a group of Thundercats, not the main team. It's basically, if you know if you know Thundercats lore, you know that there are some cats that come in later season, like season 2 or 3-ish. Some of them are here. One of them is in the main book, but basically the rest of them are here, because if you remember correctly, there were 3 of them in this particular team. There's like 4 of them. Technically, there were 5 and now 4, because like I said, one of them is in the Thundercats main book. The rest of them are here, and there's a couple of new people. So Thundercats Lost is the team is called because they had their own book for a minute, and that book ended and transitioned over into the crossover by throwing them into the future, basically. And again, like I said, this is the crossover with Thundercat with the Silverhawks. So there is a Silverhawk that is involved in this. One that is actually did show up on the Silverhawks show, in I believe later season. So, and also there's way too much light on me, but you know, I can't do too much about that right now. I don't know why there's so much light on me. Oh God, that's even worse. So apologize about that, folks. But I've got like 2 lights on me, and I don't know why. Well, I do know why now, because now that I'm using now that I'm using my webcam and not Discord, that's what's casting so much light. Either way, we don't necessarily need all of that. But yeah, so in this book, there the later Thundercats that got jilted into the future are trying to get back to stop the future that they are in from happening with the help of a Silverhawk, who we find out a little bit more about in this particular issue, because one of them asked, and we find out a little bit more than we kind of figured. I guess their involvement was for a certain reason, but you know, therein lies that. So back in the present, you know, the Thundercats and the Silverhawks are squaring up on each other, and it's not going well for one side, let's put it that way. And on another side of it, I think they are probably about to meet each other's big bad at some point. In fact, in the next issue of this one, I don't know if that's going to be the case here, but this crew that is in the future have definitely been meeting up with resistance, because basically they came into a future where the Silverhawks basically just turned things into a police state, and people like Thunderians are, you know, kind of, you know, not wanted there, basically, for reasons that we find out about. And of course, being that it is the Silverhawks, and you know, there is a certain person that is associated with them that normally they would have been going against, or that is involved in this. So there is a little bit of that. And then there's some other Silverhawk-like beings that are a part of things that are basically just Gestapo-level foot soldiers. So yeah, so there's, like I said, the ragtag team of Thundercats Lost are in the future with Silverhawk Tech fighting against them, but also trying to get back home, of which they are closer to doing. But they are about to meet some more resistance in that. And that is Thundercats Silverhawks Thunderhawks number 2 of 5. You know, if you are interested in that, in the crossover between the Thundercats and the Silverhawks, it is still not too late to really get into it. You would want a little bit of backstory on how it happened, and there's a couple of books that will give you that. Like there's a one-shot called The Road to War that will kind of sort of get you up to speed to a point. And then there's another, I mean, if you want to read the Thundercats Lost book, you can, but it really doesn't make any difference in this until you get to the last issue of that. And I believe there's also another one-shot for the Thundercats Lost crew that leads into Thunderhawks. And of course, like I said, Thundercats is a great book in itself. So if you just want to check that out, there was a Silverhawks book, but that had ended, possibly for reasons of this crossover or because of low sales, not entirely sure. So after this crossover is over, maybe there'll be another Silverhawks book coming back, because that did leave on a note that you could suggest that leads into this, but we don't know entirely for sure. So therein lies that. And that is, that's that book for this week. Next book I'm going to talk about is Void Rivals number 30, written by Robert Kirkman. Yes, that Robert Kirkman. Art by Andre Bresson. Colors by D. Cunif. Letters by Russ Wooton. And that's it. This is a potential collectible week for me because, hey, this book's pretty solid. it is in the Energon universe. And what that means is that, so Transformers, G.I. Joe are all in a shared universe under the imprint of, if you see right here, in the corner box, Skybound Entertainment, which is Robert Kirkman's imprint under Image Comics. So they got the license to do Transformers and G.I. Joe. And there's a shared universe. Void Rivals is the other book that is in, well, one of the other two books that is in the universe, the Energon universe at this time. And in fact, it has, let's just say, made itself fairly important in a way to the Energon universe. So, and the book is like, hey, there's these two warring factions that have been warring for eons upon eons, not terribly unlike the Cybertronian War, but kind of different. And they found out, at some point where, hey, we are not that different, like actually not that differently. They're basically like almost like Vulcans to Romulans. If you followed Star Trek, they're basically cousins, and they splintered off. And of course, the lore within each culture is like, well, these people are bad and those people are bad, and a couple of folks in this during this thing find out like, oh wait, we're actually alike. Hold up. So there was a cause for unity to happen, but also there were some people trying to not unify because it would cause a bad thing to happen, and that's partially kind of happening because, well, through one way or another, and of course it has to do with Cybertronians because they are related. In this book, also we have a little contingent of Cobra La, if you know who they are, that are come into play. That has come into play during the course of this book, but they're just kind of like observers in a way. In fact, in this particular issue, they may be helping out just a little bit because if you see the top of the banner, it's called the Quintesson War Part 6 of 6, and that was the last arc. And if you know your Transformers lore, you know what the Quintessons mean to Transformers universe, and they have brought their way into this part of the universe, meeting the folks here in Void Rivals and basically trying to take over, of which they may not have done by the end of this issue, but which is causing, let's just say, a rebel faction to seek out help. Now you wonder, in all of that, who are they going to go to for help for that situation? Yes, you'll find out next issue. But you'll find out in this issue if you're keeping up with the book, because they pretty much tell it. There's also been some Cybertronians running through this book here and there, including the very first issue, which is basically teased out the Transformers book. So, and if you hadn't not reading the Transformers book, you should be, if you're a Transformers fan, because this is really a great book. And if you know Robert Kirkman, who is also currently writing Transformers, there's some Kirkman-like action. To be fair, it's been going on well before he took over the book. There is basically some Kirkman-like shenanigans going on in Transformers, aka not that many people are safe. So, but again, like I said, that was going on before Kirkman took over the book, because the previous writer of Transformers, under potential direction, had been taking a similar approach. But good stuff all around. So it's like we will be talking about Transformers again at some point. But as far as Void Rivals number 30, that this ends the arc of the Quintesson War, and now we're gonna get into some other stuff that's going to quite possibly going to bring more Cybertronians into play. And I will say, for fans of the Transformers, the movie, of which we had talked about last week, and we'll probably be talking about again fairly soon, let's just say a part of the film happens in this issue, of which I teased last time I talked about this book, which hadn't happened, which was starting to happen at the end of this book, but did happen at the beginning of this book. So kind of good stuff there. The nostalgia is all the way all up and through this book and the Energon universe. But now that I think about it, I think we have a G.I. Joe. Well, no, because G.I. Joe was last week. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. So therein lies that. And I didn't get a chance to read it yet. But when I do, I will definitely talk about it by the time the next one comes up. Next up, though, and I know I'm yapping, but this is what we do here. Zatanna, number 2. Written and art by Jamal Campbell with letters by Ariana Maher. Yes, Zatanna has her own book again. She just had a miniseries not that long ago. In fact, it was probably, if it ended like the beginning of this year, if I'm not mistaken. So there is that. Pardon me, folks, because this light is absolutely kind of getting to me. So I might actually have to turn this down. There we go. Yeah, that's making me a little too dark, but that's fine. It's fine. Yeah, we'll do that. There we go. Anyway, but yes, so Zatanna has a new station now, and I don't mean radio station. If you know about the who Doctor Strange is or who he has been in the past, not currently, Zatanna has a similar new role as, you know, I believe they call it the Prime Magus. So, you know, she's basically like the Sorcerer Supreme of the DC universe, or at least the Magic Corner of the DC universe at this point. So she's kind of going around doing what folks in that station does. Last issue, she ended up doing going to another dimension and capturing a spirit for the folks and brought it back. Now she's in this particular issue trying to find out about the spirit and figure out what to do with it. We have a couple of appearances in this issue by some other magic leaning DC universe, probably lesser known magic users of the DCU. One that definitely I did not know about, but also another one that I've seen more readily in Absolute Green Lantern, which is so kind of funny because folks in that book are pretty much versions of folks are in the regular DCU DC book, DC universe. So therein lies that. But yes, in Zatanna number 2, she basically, like I said, in the midst of trying to figure out, getting help to find out about the spirit, gets into some more trouble thanks to the DEO, which is, I guess, they're not necessarily SHIELD, I guess, but they are SHIELD-like in the DCU. But it's the Department of Extraordinary Affairs, I believe, or actually, what is the O for? I can't remember what the O is for, but they're basically like, hey, they handle the weird shit, and they had branched out into the occult with a new section, and so they are basically interfering with what's going on here in this particular issue, to some effect. What we find out, their part in this, I guess we'll find out a little bit more, as time goes by. Shout out to Von Gloom, who shows up in the chat. What's up, good sir? Who says, I'm about a week behind in everything. It's fine, sir. There's a couple of books from last week I am also behind in. In fact, I know there's a book that came out this week that I'm a couple of weeks. Yes, Mr. Bones does still lead the DEO. So, I'm not entirely sure. I've seen that character in 1 or 2 places, but I don't know that because, again, as folks may or may not know, my DC knowledge is sparse outside of, some of the more popular characters. But hope you're doing well, Von Gloom. Always glad to see you here. But the Zatanna books is pretty good. I mean, I know there are people who may or may not like the art, but Jamal Campbell's kind of doing this thing over there, and like I said, we'll see how what's in store for Zatanna going forward. Whether this is a thing that's going to stick, or this is just for this story, because I believe this is something that may have possibly, like, her new role is something that just came out possibly what happened in not Absolute Power, but DCKO in the way. So yeah, I think Mr. Bones is visually interesting. I mean, you know, with a name like Mr. Bones, you would expect him to be, but also it's the DC universe. There's a lot of weird, both visually and just plain dumb, weird, interesting looking characters. So it goes on. Now the other main agent. So I don't know if you're keeping up with I don't know if you've read Zatanna, but there is another agent called Agent Domains. And there is probably, I don't know if there is definitely a secret behind that character who I feel like we're probably at some point going to find out who that is, or at least see their face. And I don't know if this is like, because they have something going on with them to where you can't see their face. Like it's basically like, you know how they have those facial recognition screens. So okay, you read the first issue, so you've seen the character I'm talking about. But Vonnegut says it's weird that the skeletal chain smoker with poisonous invisible skin is a brother. I honestly didn't put that part together, so I did not know that was the case. I mean, he's definitely giving off turning your badge and gun, you know, you know, the chief from Beverly Hills Cops, basically, type vibes, the way he's kind of coming off at folks. So, and I did not know he was a brother either. So, hey, you just dropped me some knowledge on me that I was not aware of. So, appreciate that, I guess. But then again, like I said, I hadn't even looked into dude like that. So, yeah. So the Agent Domains is basically out there, you know, doing this thing. He also in this issue pretty much got you know, he had a nice little chat with the chief who was being like just like I said he was. And it was like, yo, chill. We're gonna do this. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's gonna work out. And that seems to be the case. So we don't know what the DA is trying to get out of all of this, but outside of asserting their, you know, authority on the magic realm, but in it is what it is. But next up, I wish I had read more than I did, because there was a couple of books that I had intended to read, but I didn't get a chance to. So, but we'll bring those up in a few. But I did read Superman, Father of Tomorrow, written by Kenny Porter, art by Danny Earls, colors by Nick Filardo, and letters by Lucas Gattoni. Oh, this, by the way, this is number 1 of 6. So just so you know. And guess what, folks? If you are aware of Superman's origin, you kind of know what happens in this first issue, except for there's a twist. It is not baby Kal-El that comes to Earth. It is this dude here, his dad. So, you know, so Krypton still blows up, but everybody else is gone. So apparently, Lara and baby Kal-El and Jor-El comes to Earth, and yes, he does get taken in by the Kents. So all of that comes together. It's pretty much, you know, just like the Superman lore that you possibly already know. This is what happens in this issue, with a couple of twists. Like I said, Jor-El is the one that is coming to Earth. And I really should flip my camera because this is slightly disorienting. But Jor-El is the one that comes to Earth, grown Jor-El, not baby Jor-El. So just and gets taken in by the Kents, and of course, what would be considered a potential canon event in the Marvel universe, kind of happens here, which changes his not necessarily changes his direction, but basically brings him into what Kal kind of does in a way, as AKA becoming Superman, you know. And of course, there's some other notable characters that show up in here. You know, you get a lane here and a lane there. You get a Superman's Rose Gallery thanks to potentially a lane. You know, you don't see a cousin. You know, you don't see Supergirl up in here. Sorry if that's what you're looking for. She's got other stuff going on. But this basically reads like this is possibly a. Actually, I think it is because it's got the Elseworlds banner right there on the. Right there on the top right, if I'm not mistaken, that's what that is. So it is definitely a Elseworlds, and it reads it absolutely like one. So, you know, you come to find out a little tidbit about Kryptonian rules, or at least one in particular that let's just say it gets broken by the end of this because of said canon event that happens. So, you know, it's an interesting read. You know, I am not the biggest Superman reader either, nor the Bat reader, but that World's Finest book also kind of got me because I do, you know, those characters together are more interesting than them in their separate books to me. But there's been some stuff that I've been reading about in their separate books that's like, okay, that's actually kind of interesting. Will I pick them up? Didn't know. Who's know? But Von Gloom says, interesting, so grown as a Kryptonian scientist has the power of God. Yeah. But he also has the nobility that you know, young Kal ends up learning from the Kents. So, you know, that still kind of stays at play. But yeah. But like I said, if anything I just said about that book is of interest to you, check out Superman Father of Tomorrow. You know, it definitely have some potentially interesting stuff to it. So yeah. That being said, we're gonna go to the next book. And that is Ultimates number 24. It is the last issue of this book before going into the end of the Ultimate Universe. So this book was written by Dennis Camp with art by Juan Frigeri, color artist Federico Blee, and letters by BC's Travis Lanham. Another potential click of the week for me, but it's the Ultimates. It always is, because usually if you've never been here before to this show, this particular book is usually on a, you know, hey, this is one of the first books we're going to read during the course of the week separately. But it's usually also a good book. Sometimes it delves into some, hey, this is some real world leaning chatter we're talking about, and does, but, you know, but still continues to be a good book. And like I said, this is the last one of this. In fact, outside of the Ultimate Wolverine book, I believe this is the last book to finish, because they've given Ultimate Wolverine some grace, so I guess it's going to continue to go on to its 24. And that book started late, so which is still stupid that it's even around. And the Ultimate Universe is ending fairly soon because there's an event that is going on right now, which has to do with the Maker, which is basically an evil version of Reed Richards, who ended up going to the Ultimate Universe, which it had already existed, but timey-wimey stuff, and, you know, we're not even going to talk about the last Secret Wars and whatnot and what happened there. But the Side Ultimate series, interesting. The Side Ultimate series. Wait, which Side Ultimate series are you talking about? Are you talking about any of them, or just or is the one particular? Von Gloom says the Side Ultimate series low-key ruined my enjoyment of the Ultimates. So that's interesting, because I mean, for those, like I said, kind of coming new to this, the Ultimate Universe was a thing back in the past. That's where we got, you know, Miles Morales basically came from. They killed off that universe, but it was still kind of popped back into play back in 2015 when Secret Wars happened. So it was still kind of around there. The one with the Maker. Oh, that one. Yeah. Ultimate Endgame. I believe that is that's the one you're talking about. So yeah, I still want to catch up with that though, because then I wish I had before, because all roads are basically leading to that book, to the Endgame stuff. So therein lies that. But Marvel brought back the Ultimate Universe, but they switched it up a little bit. And when they switched it up, basically Evil Reed Richards was like, you know what? Things would be so much better if some of these heroes didn't get born or made or whatever the case may be. So he kind of reshaped the universe, and some folks didn't get their powers. Some folks didn't know they even had powers until, you know, some things shook up, and some people just not around. So cue the Ultimates, you know, and everything coming back, and folks learning that they have powers and learning to use them. That's where we got Ultimate Spider-Man this time around, which is basically a grown-up Peter Parker who has a family, which they're still messing us up with that because it was him and Mary Jane and had kids, you know, because they're not going to give us that in the actual universe, so they still mess with that then. And there's a version of the X-Men, which that was a weird book in itself, and there was a Ultimate Black Panther, and what am I missing? Oh, Ultimate Wolverine. Don't care too much about that because I believe those are they. So yeah, it was Ultimates, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Wolverine. If I'm missing one, I can't remember. But regardless, those were the books that were in this universe. Von Gloom says reading the Ultimates before that is probably for the best. Yes, because it even says that at the end of the issue, hey, to be continued in that book. So, which that stuff I think is supposed to be going around the same time as what is going on in this last couple of arcs of the Ultimates, because what happens in the Ultimate Universe is like, yeah, the Maker did his thing, but got closed off from the rest of the universe to come back in like 2 years. Well, that time has come, and the Maker is basically out, and they're trying to contain him. They have been spending all this time trying to, you know, I know Von Gloom knows about this already, so I'm not telling folks out there in the audience, but you know, the folks in the Ultimates are basically trying to start an uprising against this Maker-run society before he comes back out, so they could basically snuff him out when he gets out. You know, things hadn't been going quite well on that front, but they've gotten some things to happen. And while this Ultimates book ends just like pretty much most of the other Ultimate Universe books have, in that, hey, the book ends, but these characters, but it doesn't necessarily give you an ending, because it's all going into that this event that is coming up, that is kind of sort of happening, but also coming up, that's going to end the universe. So all roads are leading there, and you know, the last strike against the Maker and what's going to happen to this universe, whatever that may be. And on the other side of that, unless you're talking about Von Gloom, you're talking about the stuff that's going on with Miles, because Miles Morales basically ended up coming back to the Ultimate Universe, and I still haven't read all of that stuff either, but he's, as far as I know, back in the 616 and brought some stuff with him that's supposed to be reverberating all and through, you know, the 616. So there's a lot of stuff to kind of catch up on. But if you're just looking to get into the, you know, the main of the Ultimate Universe, this version 2, which is what this is, Ultimates and Ultimate Spider-Man are probably your two best bet. And if you like Black Panther, you go there, because that's still also another kind of a contained book. Most of them were kind of contained, but at least in the end, some of them kind of started blending together. With the exception of Ultimate X-Men, because that book was way by itself in what it was doing. That was a Peach Momoko book, and it was pretty much, you know, kind of, again, good book, but it was just weird because it was just all off on its own. And as Von Gloom says, X-Men was definitely experimental. Yeah, kind of. So they just let that part go. There's been a couple of things that's come about in one of these, the side books and the Ultimates, but Mutants at Large has pretty much been contained in the Ultimate X-Men book. So therein lies that. And was going way far away to talk about Ultimate 24. Just know a couple of things. This is the last issue of this book. and it pretty much wraps up at the very least 1 or 2 fights that were going on at the end of this. Still, stuff is going to be going in the universe, like I said, with the event that is going on that's going to close out the universe. But the book is done, and so are the other books, and all of that's going to come together, mix them in, cook them in a pot like gumbo, and finish out the universe. Von Gloom says Ultimate Spider-Man was great, and it was. That was a Jonathan Hickman book. If you know who that is, he was also responsible for arguably the best version of Secret Wars outside of the very first one. But and what will be hopefully halfway decently done in the MCU. Which is what they're leading to with what's going on in the MCU now. Hopefully they're going to do justice by that, because like I said, 2015 Secret War was absolutely great. Hickman mumbo jumbo and everything. But yes, Hickman's version of Ultimate Spider-Man was a damn great book also through and through. So hated to see it go, but like I said, with the universe ending itself, then it is what it is. But Von also says Ultimate Spider-Man was great, gave us a Peter that actually that had a relatively good life, not perpetually down on his luck. Yes. And I don't know why Marvel seems to think that we don't like it when Peter's happy. Like Peter's an everyman. Peter's this, Peter's that. You can have a happy Peter and have stuff happen, because it wouldn't be Peter Parker if stuff still didn't happen. But you could still have him relatively happy, and with Mary Jane personally. But that's just me, and a whole lot of other people. So, but yeah, that is the Ultimates number 24. Again, the only thing we have left is the Ultimate in-game stuff and the other side stuff that's wrapping up the universe and the event they're in. So, like I said, I don't know. I can't say for certain how much of that other side stuff, which technically it's not side stuff. It is the actual stuff that is like, hey, this is stuff that's probably important to how this is going to play out. But, like I said, Ultimates was basically the main book, and then there's and Spider-Man was good. So, but for the stuff that was germane to what was going on in the Ultimates universe, it was Ultimates. So, yeah, Von Gloom. And what do those? I mean, granted, I was about to say something real spurious, but because I was about to say, what do those have in common? Which realistically, they also have the same thing in common that Peter has in common with them. So I can't say what I was about to say was the case. No, Von Gloom, nobody can be happy but Reed and Sue. And nobody can be happy but Soups. Sorry, can't be done. Not Bats, not even Batman. And Batman goes to folks like, I don't know what. The people didn't want them to marry Catwoman. How silly is that shit? Anyway, like folks got mad that they were going to marry him off. And I don't know if that call was coming from inside of the house or not, but I suspect it was actually people who were like, Bruce Wayne can't be married. Blah, 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 blah. Stupid people. But also DC stays losing, so it is what it is. And actually, even with the Superman thing, though, they've messed with that some, because as we recall, remember, Superman got married and then some stuff happened and he died, and, and there's always a crisis, so stuff changes. And I believe, isn't the Superman that is currently going on right now an alternate universe? Clark and Lois both are from a alternate universe, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what the hell DC's doing. Savangum says Peter can be a successful family man and be popular. Yes, they can push that growing pains finding himself stuff on Miles, right? Because Miles is still technically a teenish, a teenager or close to teenager. I guess he's more college age, closer to college age at this point than teenager. But yeah, he's still teenage-ish. young adult-ish. Even Scott Summers had moments of happiness far more than Peter. Yeah, I mean, he's always had Gene, you know, through hella high water. Even got him a little side piece in Emma at one point, you know. But also, Scott is a case. Come on, because is Scott really actually happy? Because he did have his asshole moment for a good while, and that may or may not have been because of Emma, but we don't talk about that. It's sad that Logan had a happier romantic relationship than Peter in recent years, just in general, and he's had a long ass life. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I was gonna mention Johnny, but Johnny is a whole ass side case because Johnny's Johnny. I don't think he's ever going to grow up, and he's definitely not getting out of his dirtbag phase anytime soon. If Ryan North has anything to do with it, but that's a whole nother situation. Either way, let me we can yap about this. Let me finish one last book, which is actually slightly fitting, but we can continue this conversation while I get to this last book, and that book is Doomquest, number 1 of 10, written by Ryan North, art by Francesco Moberly, color artist Frank Darmada, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So I was not entirely sure when this book actually takes place, because if you are keeping up with the current events of the Marvel Universe comic-wise, Doom is not around. But that doesn't mean he's not felt or anything, you know, because we just had the One World Under Doom event where Doom took over the world, basically. You know, but again, like I said, Doom's not around in the world. So, but given that the Fantastic Four and what they're leading to within the MCU, with Doomsday and whatnot, you can't really keep him away that long. Well, you're not going to keep him away that long. It's pretty much kind of stupid either way. But that's, you know, MCU and the comics are doing a thing lately, and I don't like it, or have been for the last decade or so. Either way, we have this Doom book here that well, let's just see. It starts off sounding like a Doom documentary. It's not. It's taking place at some point. I believe it is some point in the past. I have not had confirmation of that because it's definitely not current, because again, Doom's not around. So, you know, Vix still had in this book head of running Latveria. He gets some news about Latveria, so which also leads me to believe that this is a past time. That, you know what? Hey, you know what? We still a striving country. You know, we gotta do something. Yes, you are correct, but I think that clone has been in. I think that clone has shown up before that. I'm not sure because I have not reading the Cap book, and I know Agent 70 has, but he's not here. So, but I want to say when they did that whole Will of Dooms thing, I want to say, because I know Kristoff showed up in that book, but I think the clone also showed up in that book as well. Of course, Valeria as well. But therein lies that. So I don't know. Part of me kind of wants to read that Cap book just to kind of see what's going on in Armageddon, because that's going to be another event that is also coming soon. So therein lies that. But Doomquest basically starts off with like, hey, Doom finds out that, hey, you know, finds some information that the country's not doing well. They got to do something to kind of pick it up, you know. Cut to a interview with Reed Richards, because of course you can't have a Doom book without Reed Richards coming in some kind of way, shape, or form. But cut to a interview that Doom intercepts with that Reed Richards is given, which gives him the idea that basically is going to form what's going on in this book. Reed Richards talk about the future and some other stuff in this information. I mean, in this interview, and Doom's like, wait a minute. Of course, he's not going to admit that he got the idea from Reed. So he was like, wait a minute. this stuff that this stuff's Reed talking, even though he's not gonna say those words. Of course, like that gives me an idea. Let me go do a thing. So he starts doing a thing that the heroes end up getting wind of course, and goes to try to stop him, but because of the thing that he's building and the mechanics around it, and yes, there is time travel going to be involved in this, so buckle up for that one. Doom may or may not have gotten at the very least gotten the foot off the ground on this plan that he has hatched because of this thing. Let's just say, because you can kind of see a shade of it if you think about what is expressed in this book. I don't want to give away the whole thing in this book, but let's just say, because the plan deals with time travel and quite possibly possession. Got to think about that for a second. So, yeah, they did redesign the Doom armor just a bit. So just to kind of distinguish it from, you know, I guess the current or whatnot. Probably kind of, I mean, it's still got the classic look in it, but I'm pretty sure they probably did it because of MCU reasons also. So, but like I said, because of this book, Doom's on a quest, as the book says, to, you know, rewrite history. Might as well go ahead and say it, because we already said there's some time stuff going on. So I'm assuming at some point he's going to end up back in the previous past, or the current past of One World Under Doom. I suspect sooner rather than later, because again, this is part 1 of 10. Yeah, it's gonna happen. But that, folks, is all the books that I have read this week. Before I get into Kliqs of the Week, though, just want to shout out a couple of books. I know if he were here, Agent 70 would have definitely read Absolute Wonder Woman, because I know that is his and Von Gloom's one of their favorite Ultimate books. Even though, you know, I know it's a damn shame, because I heard this book is functionally better than Batman, but people buying Batman left and right. Don't get me wrong, all Absolute books, and if I said Ultimate, then that's a slip that's just going to happen. But the Absolute books is basically the Ultimate universe for DC. And they're going to try to capitalize it for as much as they can. But yeah. All of the Absolute books are selling fairly well, except for Batman is doing doubly well, because for some stupid reason people can't get their mouths off of Batman's junk. Anyway, that's just me. I'm, you know, I don't want to come off as a hater. But I hate the fact that the Bat, and don't get me wrong, I don't hate Batman as a character. I just hate how popular he is, and stupidly popular for stupid people for that reason. But that's a whole nother situation. Von Gloom says it is the best Absolute book in their opinion. I have not read it yet. I'm going to work my way into reading Absolute Wonder Woman, because I hear good things about it. I have been enjoying, weirdly enough, Absolute Green Lantern and the recently released Absolute Green Arrow. I've been enjoying that one, those two. So, like, Absolute Green Lantern's a little weird on his own. It's Al Ewing writing it, but it's still a good book, I think. So, whenever I catch up on Absolute Wonder Woman, I'll see if I join the party on that one or not. You know, but basically, if anybody doesn't know about the Absolute Universe, so like I just said, it's the Ultimate Universe, but for DC. It's what if these characters did not have the exact same origin that we know them and love them for? So Bruce Wayne's not rich, but he still lost his parents. He's I guess he's more of an engineer, kind of more like Iron Man in this universe, but he still decided to dress up as a bat for some odd reason. Absolute Wonder Woman did not grow up on Themyscira, aka Paradise Island, depending on which version you go for. If I'm not, wait, I might be wrong about that. I can't remember, but basically, she does not have that exact same origin that people know her from. And of course, there's Absolute Superman, who I can't remember what they did differently on that one. But regardless, they did not have they all did not have the same origins, the exact same origins that they have. That made them a little bit more down to earth, grittier in this particular. There's some couple other folks that are having books, like there's also Absolute Flash book, Absolute Green, Absolute Green Lantern and Green Arrow have their books. Also Martian Manhunter has a book, but that book's about to end. There's going to be an Absolute Catwoman book. And matter of fact, we'll talk about that more in the news, etc., etc. So, you know, basically grittier versions of the DC characters you know and possibly like it so much. And of course, with that, their Rogues Gallery has also made some changes, and folks around them also have had changes to their origins, especially in the Batman book. So there is that. Oh, Von Glue says Bruce, aka Bruce Wayne. Bruce is built like Brock Lesnar as well. He's a damn brick. Yeah, this Bruce Wayne in the Absolute universe is swole. Like, he's not just like this svelte ladies man dude. Like, nah, this is damn near Bane sized. But therein lies that. So yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman have not had a chance to read. Agent 70 probably has while he's on his sojourn. Star Trek Celebrations 2026. I meant to check that out, but it didn't have a chance. I could have taken a couple of moments and read that before the show, but I was already running late and I wasn't trying to do that any more than I already did. Because actually I was going to start earlier than this, but that's a whole situation in itself that didn't work out. There was also the DC Pride, the Heart Wants book. You know, they do a Pride book every year around this time, so this is the one for this year that is out if you are interested in that. Oh, I think Agent 70 was definitely reading Psylocke Ninja, and that ends this week. I have yet to catch up with that or that Rogue book, but I hear fairly decent things on those. There is a Wiccan and Hulkling book that came out, The Raid of Ultron, which basically has, you know, Wiccan, Hulkling, and adjacent folks like Vision and Scarlet Witch, Vision, Speed, all of those teaming up against Ultron. I meant to check this out, but I didn't get a chance to do that as well. And of course, there is the Wonder Man book that's come out just in time. Well, not in time, but a little late for the MCU Wonder Man series that happens, which, you know, that happened already, but he's got a book. So therein lies that. And I know there's also an ultimate version of Wonder Man that is coming in that ultimate, I think it may have already come up in that one of those ultimate side series. So but I hear good things about this Wonder Man book. I think Agent 70 was reading that, and I need to catch up myself. But I have not. And of X-Men 30 also came out this week. Agent 70 is definitely also reading that, but again, like I said, probably won't get his thoughts on that even when he comes back, because that'll be next week. So we are going to get into Kliqs of the Week. So my potential Kliqs of the week are, as I have said before, Void Rivals is definitely one of them. Ultimates 24 is another one. You know, like I said, Ultimates is a book that's always high up on the list for the Comic Book Chronicles. So I'm sure Agent 70 would probably be similar. You know, similar in thinking. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him, but usually that is the case. You know, we have record upon that I could show. Superman Father of Tomorrow is actually interesting. Even, you know, it's a nice little flip on the Superman origin. You know, where it's going to go, not entirely sure, but we will find out, I'm sure. Thundercats Silverhawks Thunderhawks #2. It was pretty decent. I don't think it's going to make the cut this time, but I talked about that at the beginning of this. It's interesting. It does the things you not necessarily would expect from the book, because who would have thought this would have been a thing, even with the current crossover that is going on. So therein lies that. As much as I hate to say it, that Doomquest #1 is also kind of up there. The more I'm thinking about it, the premise is, in line with something that you would expect from Doom, even if he wasn't already not currently in the universe proper. But sure, if you would have told me they would have made this into one world under Doom, leading up to it, then sure, I would believe it. But as far as my actual Kliq of the week, I think I pretty much said pretty much all of my books except for Zatanna. Zatanna was actually pretty good, but try to read all the stuff that I'm interested in and interested about. Like I said, that's why I read the Superman book, because I wasn't going to read that. That's like, I don't care that much about Superman to be keeping up with him like that. But like I said, that seemed interesting enough of a premise to peep out. And now I'm sitting here having trouble trying to figure out my Kliq. I think it is definitely, Doomquest is probably in the running. Void Rivals definitely in the running, like I said, and Ultimates. And it is a weirdly hard pick. I don't want to just go, oh no, it's Ultimates, and let that be that. So I think I am probably, this is what I'm going to do. I only do this on certain occasions, and that's day and night. But I'm probably going to choose 2 books. Age of 70 is out here. He can't stop me. But I'm still trying to figure out which 2 books that's going to be. Technically, I could go for 4. We originally had 4 people on this program, but now we only have 2, because the other 2 guys have their own stuff going on. So I can't really necessarily invoke that. But I feel like I can do this, and I possibly will. Shouldn't, but possibly will, so we can kind of keep this boat rolling. Void Rivals. There's a funny part of Void Rivals that kind of invokes Batman and Robin, and it's kind of funny. I whether it was intentional or not, I don't know, but it was kind of funny. Ultimates, Void Rivals, or Superman Father of Tomorrow. This is going to be toughy. Doomquest. Don't know. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do this. Doomquest #1 is one of them. 1 of 10 is one of them. That is going to be my Kliq of the week. And my alternate Kliq of the week is going to be, weirdly enough, is that shout out to Ultimates. Ultimates is always good, so you should definitely check out Ultimates if you haven't got a chance to, and it's about to since it's about to wrap up and be collected, that'll probably be a good time to do it. But you know what? Superman Father of Tomorrow as an alternate. #1 of 6. By the way, if I did not, I know I've said it previously, but I'm saying it again right now. That's going to be my alternate Kliq of the week. Like I said, while it is still the Superman origin, but it's a flip on it that is enough to be like, you know what? Okay, we'll see. There's potential, like Von Gloom said earlier. There's potential here that you could do something with. What they're going to do with it, we'll have to see. But therein lies that. And with that, we are going to go into the news section. But first, I need to figure out I need to figure out what ad reads to do, because I absolutely did not do that prior to the show. You know what? Let's do this one. Sure. Our first ad read for tonight is for Funko, Fun at First Sight, your home for exclusive collectibles, apparel, and brand merchandise. And now, for the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles, you can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us, because I forgot to say that before anyway. Then click the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko, through CSPN, do it today. And now we get to the news. Oh dear, you know, this is the problem with doing this myself, because I totally forgot to do the thing. There we go. There we go. That's the spirit. Yeah. But yeah, cinematic news as we do about this time. I have a lot of editing to do on this one, not surprisingly. And I apologize. I'm just going to go ahead and apologize for last week's show, because I did not really edit it like I should have. So if you find a whole lot of more ums and ahs than usual in that one, that's probably why. So my apologies for that. Regardless, though, cinematic news is what we do about this time. Starting off with the X-Men 97 Season 2 trailer has dropped, and it scatters the mutant heroes through time. I haven't had a chance to... Oh, and also we get this nice little spiffy poster that is an homage for Wolverine. So therein lies that. If you're watching the video version, you can see said homage right there. There is supposed to be a video there, because I was absolutely going to sit here and watch the trailer with folks, because I can. But you know, let's see. Cancel that. On the fly recording, folks. On the fly recording. And I don't know if this is going to pop in. It's going to cause some issue. But you know what? We're going to find out today. Also, I have a lot of tabs up, so this is going to probably not go well. Here we go.
It's hard to believe what's not waiting for me. Someone I lost. Someone special.
The X-Men are scattered through time. In the past, from the start of Apocalypse's reign, to the future at the height of his rule.
The X-Men. I must strike them at their most vulnerable. The 1990s.
Jeez, could have at least bought me a drink first.
X-Men back to the 90s.
You fight a battle that cannot be won. And
against the dawn of an age that cannot be stopped.
This isn't just about us. It's about everyone we've lost.
From the beginning of time to the reaches of tomorrow, we stand together right here, right now. I believe in the X-Men.
We're back, baby.
And there's that homage again. So yeah, X-Men 97 season 2 is happening, and as you saw, July. I'm probably gonna have to cut this off from the audio version. So hey, just consider that a video treat. July 1st is when season 2 happens of this year. I cannot wait because that first season was something else. So if you can't wait either, and hey, you know what, get caught up. And apparently the second season is going to have 9 episodes, and pretty much everybody's coming back. So there is that. And as we move on with cinematic news, Kevin Feige says Spider-Man Brand New Day finally brings Peter Parker back to the, quote, classic elements of Spider-Man, I guess. So there's a new image from Spider-Man Brand New Day has been put online. That movie's coming soon. I don't need any other, just bring the movie to me. Put it in my face. I don't really need to see that much else to know that I'm going to go watch it. I know also Supergirl's coming up, so that is definitely going to be another movie protocol situation coming up. By the way, Mandalorian and Grogu, I haven't watched it yet. I know Agent 70 has. In fact, he passed along a little tidbit to mention, but I won't. So he can tell you that himself when he comes back next week. Hopefully by that time, I will have watched that as well. But let's see. According to Feige, Brand New Day is aiming for a much more grounded and comics-inspired version of the character. In his interview to Empire, he says, quote, "It is the first Spider-Man film that we've made in the MCU that is focused on the classic elements of Spider-Man." Why is that? He is doing the Spidey thing of living in a rather sad, small apartment. See, again, this is going back to what we were just talking about, that you don't necessarily have to do with Peter. But he's doing the Spidey thing of living in a rather sad small apartment, listening to the police scanner, and going out and using his great powers responsibly, end quote. According to this article, that feels much closer to the Spider-Man many fans grew up with. Peter Parker struggling to survive, balancing loneliness and responsibility while swinging through New York, stopping street-level crime instead of cosmic disasters. And then it goes into, the end of No Way Home, of which if you haven't seen by now, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, it's coming whether we want it or not, and we do want it. Brand New Day is going to be in theaters. Oh, okay, never mind. July 31st, 2026, of course. So therein lies that. Next up, Star Wars: The Mandalorian and Grogu, speaking of, did some numbers this past weekend. 167 million worldwide, 98 million in the US on the first 4 days. And this article goes into what does that mean? It means it made money. You don't really need to read the article to know that. Thing made bank. Period. Anyway, that's, if you've seen it, great. If you haven't, like me out myself, don't spoil it. Thank you. Next up, Transformers and G.I. Joe movie crossover is now more possible than ever. And that sounds at this point like a threat than a promise, but yeah. So this is basically a very smallish update saying that, hey, it could still happen. It's, because I think that last Transformers movie, Rise of the Beast, kind of sort of set that up. We would still need to do something with G.I. Joe part of it and set that up. So they still haven't done that yet. We can't go by those past G.I. Joe ones because they haven't really done the legwork there. That's never stopped them. And yes, this mentions Transformers 1, which I still haven't seen yet. But But according to this, yeah, it sounds like Transformers and G.I. Joe are both getting new films. See, during CinemaCon 2026, several studios shared presentations regarding their upcoming film slates. During Paramount's presentation, the studio shared a few announcements regarding their biggest franchises and revealed that a new Transformers movie and a new G.I. Joe movie are in development, according to IGN. I believe this is information we might have already had, but, you know, just, yeah. That's all that's pretty much we need to know about this particular article. It's like, yeah, it's still up in the winds. Whether we see any more forward momentum on when those two new movies happen is going to be the thing. And now we get over into the anime section. Of course, I don't have a nice, good stinger to go along with this already, but how about this? The Crunchyroll Anime Awards happened already, and I definitely saw part of it one morning as I was still up. But the winners have been announced. That stuff is out there. You can watch it if you want to, because I'm pretty sure the video out there is still on that. But or you could just sit here and read the winners. I mean, it's a popularity show just like any of these award shows, and so it is what it is. But anime of the year, if you don't want to know, by the way, you can tune out for the next 2 minutes or so. Anime of the year 2025 goes to, no surprise, My Hero Academia final season. You know, popularity contest. If you're watching the video version, you can see the nominees, so I don't necessarily have to read them out, and I'm not going to realistically, but you know, some of the things that you would expect it, including probably the one that didn't have any hope, that, you know, more diehard fans would have been like, oh, I wanted that one to win. Yeah, sorry. Film of the year, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle. I still have yet to see that. When is that on home release so I can watch that? You know, it went up against, wait, hang on. Oh yeah, I was about to say it went up against itself, but yes. Mononoke the movie chapter 2, Chainsaw Man, Berserk, and that's another one I need to actually watch, and a couple other things. Best continuing series is One Piece. Jesus Christ. I mean, that thing is never gonna, yeah, that's ridiculous. That went up against Dan Kaiju number 8, season 2, both season 2s. My Hero, surprisingly enough, okay, I guess they didn't want My Hero to sweep, I guess. But also continuing series, like, hell, what other outside of One Piece and Fairy Tales is just keeps going? Well, Bleach, I guess, kind of sort of is there, but Solo Leveling and Spy Family season 3, of which I still need to finish. Best new series is Gachi Akuda. I don't know what that is, but I've heard about it. Sakamoto Days was in the running for that one. That didn't make it. Flavor Flower Blooms with Dignity and a couple of others. This Takopi's Original Sin I keep hearing, and that has come up for a couple of different nominations and lost all of them so far. Best original anime is Lazarus. Who'd have thunk a Watanabe joint was going to win something? Who'd have thunk? Digimon Beat Break was in this. Mobile Suit Gundam G-Quacks was in this, of course, and a couple of others. Let's see. Best. I'm probably not going to read through all of these, but I know there's definitely some more, a lot more to this. But best animation, Solo Leveling season 2, Arise from the Shadow. Best character design, Gachi Akuda. Wait, they didn't do that one. Okay, or they didn't fill it in on this article. Wait, but yeah, there was some stuff represented. You know, it wasn't just a lock for stuff, but it's still a popularity contest. And if I'm not mistaken, this one, the Crunchyroll Awards, is like people voted for this, so it wasn't just like a Critics' Choice thing. Yeah. But yeah, the list goes on and on and on. Like I said, if you can go to the show notes if you want to check out. Oh, actually, Demon Slayer is starting to kind of run away with some stuff, according to what I'm scrolling through. So, yeah. But anyway, you can go through the list yourself in the show notes for this episode. Next up, we are going to go to the comic book section with sure, that works out. Remind, the complete saga hits shelves this fall, so Jason Brubaker's beloved sci-fi webcomic Remind will be collected this fall in Remind, the complete saga from Titan Comics. Let's see. Remind follows Sanja, an inventor, mechanic, and lighthouse keeper whose closest companion is her cat, Victuals. When Victuals disappear, if I'm probably saying that wrong, but I'm probably not. Either way, because I want to call it Vittles, and that's a southern thing, but that's not even how that's spelled. A near impossibility on their remote island, aka the cat disappearing, and returns with a mysterious creature's brain in its place of his own. It sends Sanja on a journey that reveals itself to be far more perilous and intense than she could ever have predicted. There's a full synopsis here if that is of interest to you. And it was apparently a webcomic from 2009. And it's going to be available everywhere on October 13th. Excuse me, pre-orders are available now if you are interested. Money Shot is getting its wildest crossover yet, with Patton Oswalt returning for the F-Offs, #1. So this is a one-shot in the Money Shot universe from Vault Comics. And let's see, it is a storyline spinning out of the long-running sci-fi comedy series. I don't know if it's been that long, but I've seen that book around. Money Shot. The issue reunites creator Tim Seeley with actor, comedian, and writer Patton Oswalt alongside artist Garth Graham, colorist Maxim Strelkov, letterer Crank, and designer Tim Daniel. So there is the cover for the one shot, and I have not read the Money Shot book, so I couldn't tell you a whole lot about what's going on outside of the fact that if you see the images going around, and especially the ones that are here, and the way it sounds, yeah, it sounds like it's a little suggestive there. But hey, sure, what's a little adult fun, right? Right. Dark Horse Comics workers are unionizing. Get that union. So for its 40th anniversary, Dark Horse is getting organized. Workers at Dark Horse Media have announced plans to unionize under the name Dark Horse Workers United, DHWU. The group is asking interim CEO Jay Comas and Dark Horse leadership to voluntarily recognize the union by June 3rd, and that's only a few days away from this recording, which will allow for a more streamlined negotiation process. Dark Horse Workers United cites 3 primary goals: improving job security, wages, and benefits, increasing transparency and equity in the workplace to foster more comfortable communications between teams, and in which integral workplace information is shared with the entire company. And I guess this is the third one, taking a seat at the table when it comes to critical decision making that impacts stakeholders, including workers. So, yes, and as Von Gloom says, the union is long overdue. Absolutely. I mean, honestly, comics need to been unionized all across the board. So, especially at the big 2, which maybe and I don't know if they do or not. I think that might have gotten squashed. Either way, got to start somewhere. So it's good that this is happening. Also, but unfortunate, Dark Horse is kind of going through a bit of restructuring because of being embraced. So I hope this doesn't cause any issues as much as, the good things that could come out of unionizing, at least for the workers anyway. So yeah, but you can read more about that excuse me, in this article, because this is kind of going through some of the tenets and everything, and it's a little bit long to read right now, but you can check that out because it's a good thing. We'll definitely be keeping tabs on how that is going. Tom King and Gabriel Hernandez Walter reteam for 6 of Us, which is a 6-issue series that will include covers by Hernandez Walter and variant covers by Fabio Moon, Elsa Chartier, George Fornes, Raul Ellen, and Tula Lote, excuse me, and more. This is from Dark Horse Comics, as I said. Well, as I didn't say, but I just did now. But let's see. Oh, also, colors by Jody Belair and letters by Clayton Cowles. This will be in comic book shops September 2026. And according to this article, it is a story of grief and lies behind the camera lens. So let's see. Flavor text is synopsis. A beloved cast member of a hit show dies under mysterious circumstances, sending shockwaves through Hollywood and revealing the secrets, betrayals, and desires lurking beneath the glittering facade. As the surviving cast confront their past, old rivalries and hidden truths emerge, and the line between life and performance begin to blur. Dun, dun, dun. And actually, I have a soundbite for that, but I didn't put it in there. Either way, it's going to be $4.99, of course, which is the going rate for comic books at this point. September 9th is the first issue. So, yeah, so you can, if you're interested in that, go to your Run, Don't Walk to your local comic book shop and tell them to order it for you, because I'm pretty sure final cutoff is going to be fairly soon. Next up, Spin It. Boom, 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 boom. Talespin Comics take flight this summer, reuniting Darkwing Duck team Amanda Dalebert and Carlo Laro. So yeah, they are steadily going through the Disney afternoon, folks. Because, well, we'll get to that in the next in the next article. But yeah, Dynamite is leveraging that that Disney license that they got going on. I mean, realistically, Darkwing Duck and Gargoyles did pretty well for them, from what I understand. So, and of course, you got Lilo and Stitch out there, and you know the other and the DuckTales book, and you know other Disney properties, and I think they had the whole Disney villain one-shot stuff, and all that stuff has probably did some numbers for them. But yeah, so this August, and by the way, August, September's so solicitations are out there. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the show notes and check out the solicitations, upcoming solicitations for a lot of companies. Not all of them are there. Like I don't think I have Dynamite here, but I think Dynamite might have come out, but at least the big 2 and a couple of others are out there for you to check out. So yeah, if you know about Talespin, you know it's Baloo. And Cow Kicker, and that old girl Suzanne, whatever her name was, not Suzette, Cape Suzette was the place. Whatever old girl who ran the business that Blue was working for, and basically he was a courier and got into shenanigans, and there was a Don Carnage. You know the vibes. I don't know why I'm saying all of this, but yeah, all of that. But August, no firm date, but definitely August according to this. So hang on, I'm missing one because there's definitely. Oh, I skipped one actually. There we go. So yeah, Dynamite is relaunching Gargoyles. Rebecca, thank you, Von Gloom. That was her name. I couldn't remember. But Dynamite is relaunching Gargoyles. So no surprise. Like I said, Gargoyles was actually a pretty good book. I had never watched the show, but I read the books and the crossover with Darkwing Duck also. So, but yeah, they stopped the book. I wasn't sure whether it was because of sales or they just got to the end of whatever story they wanted to tell. There's been some other side the Gargoyles books out there also, which kind of made me lose the thread and some stuff. But therein lies that. But glad to see that they're bringing Gargoyles back. Because I did enjoy I did enjoy reading that book. Apparently, according to Von Gloom, Don Carnage was on the new Duck. Yeah, they had a bunch of people. Kit Cloud Kicker was a fave to some people. Yeah, that is also true. But Don Carnage, actually, I know I still need to go back and watch that new DuckTales because I've only watched like one episode. And I know like Gizmo Duck and a whole bunch of them and Darkwing Duck also showed up on that show. So a lot of Disney Afternoon folks ended up on that joint. So not surprised, while that has nothing to do with this, it's still out there. So but yeah, Greg Weisman, creator of Gargoyles, is going to continue writing the book. Geraldo Gambone from Gargoyles Quest is going to be on art. Robbie Bevard on colors, and Jeff Eckleberry, who pretty much does all the lettering for Dynamite anyway, is on lettering. So let's see. The new ongoing volume of the series will pick up with the heroes of the 90s cartoon, y'all know what it is, as they contend with the kidnapping of a new clan member and more. So there's a full synopsis here that says the titular Gargoyles only have eggs every 20 years, and the Manhattan clan at the center of the saga have been keeping care of one playfully nicknamed Eduardo. The only problem is it's been stolen by arch enemy Demona. Dun dun dun. Actually, you know what? I could just... Oh, no, I must have turned it off. No problem. I do need to turn it back on for something later, but there we go. So yeah, shenanigans and again. Let's see. As the defenders of the night try desperately to track down the egg, they're also faced with an awkward, ancient, all-powerful evil with vendetta against the entire world. All of that and more can be expected each and every month in the new blockbuster series. So Weissman's been out there doing his thing. What can you say? Actually, I had a Gargoyles finger here, and I don't now for some reason. Don't know where it went to. So maybe there will be one in post because I'm sure that'll spark some folks' memory. Next up, though, we'll go past that one because I already talked about that one. Godzilla officially confirmed to attack San Diego Comic-Con. So IDW Publishing is about to unleash Godzilla upon San Diego Comic-Con, and according to this article, there's no telling how far his impact will reach. Let's see. The eagerly awaited Godzilla one-shot, Godzilla vs. America San Diego, is upcoming. Let's see. The main story for the upcoming issue will be written and illustrated by the legendary Stan Sakai. Okay. And will revolve around what is sure to be one of the most disastrous industry events of all time. Can't imagine what that's going to be, given everything that was just said. Let's see, Godzilla vs. America San Diego #1 will also feature stories from the likes of Greg and Fake of Santos Sisters fame. Okay, cool. There is the cover for Godzilla vs. San Diego. I haven't read those Godzilla versus America stuff. I might actually pick this one up to peep it out. So that's kind of funny. Let's see. They didn't actually go into Comic-Con. So yeah. Publisher Michael Kelly to leave Boom Studios. So let's see. And that's going to happen at the next month. According to this article, it was announced by Keith Clayton, SVP publisher of Random House Worlds Group, the division where Boom Studio is located in the Penguin Random House structure. Andy Schmidt, VP editor-in-chief of Boom, will now report directly to Clayton. Keith Clayton, excuse me. Kelly will depart in mid-June to pursue other opportunities. So maybe we'll hear something about another imprint or something. I don't know. Or maybe just getting out of the business altogether. Don't know. This also goes into the history of where Michael Kelly came from. Apparently he was with Hasbro before coming to Boom, etc., etc. But you can read that for yourself. Next up, Star Trek reveals the Vulcan mind meld's dark and dangerous twin. This is spoiler alert for Star Trek, the last Star Trek Starship number 7, which I talked about last week. And this article did not say a name that I expected to hear in this article, so I'm not sure if I was right or they didn't pick up on it. Either way, so yeah, there was a thing that happened in that last issue of Star Trek: The Last Starship, of where there was unsanctioned mind meld that happened between one of the main characters and the one of the crew of the space station that they were visiting, who was going through some creepy mess. I thought the Vulcan in question was Tuvok, an older version of Tupac. The Tuvok, not Tupac. Tupac is not a Vulcan. That'd been funny though. But I don't think, I'm not sure if it was Tuvok, and this article doesn't say as much. If it could be some random, not all black Vulcans are Tuvok. I'm just saying that right here, right now. Okay, calm down. But if you're watching the video version, you can see the panel at which that happens. You know, mind meld happens, which lets loose something else in the character, and that's basically what this article is kind of talking about. It's like, oh, so there's a side use to this mind meld that is potentially a problem. So therein lies that. Next up, speaking of Star Trek spinoff confirmed to explore all new universe. So this is for let's see, Recollection, a Star Trek story, which looks like it's going to be coming from Sam Maggs. Okay. Here we go. Recollection will mark the second Star Trek collaboration for Webtoon. Excuse me, with the first Stargazers dropping earlier this month on May 17th, which means that's already out. Ryan Lee from Webtoons spoke about the partnership and what fans can expect. Let's see, with Star Trek, Stargazers and Recollection, we're honoring the legacy, exploring new corners of the universe through our vertical scroll web comic format. Hint, 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 hint. Throw that in there. You know, where every scroll can heighten tension, deepen relationships, and bring readers closer to the story. I don't know about that, but sure, you gotta say your thing, bruh. You go ahead and do that. But apparently, this new series is going to target the next generation of fans. Ha ha, funny. Let's see. The release of Stargazers and Recollection is aimed at bringing the 60-year-old franchise to a new generation of readers while still exploring familiar storytelling tropes that current fans will likely love. Stargazers is a young adult romance set in the world of Deep Space Nine, while Recollection is in a later timeline, drawing inspiration from The Next Generation and Voyager. So, if either one of those are of interest to you, go check out Webtoons right now for Stargazers, and then the Recollection will come at some point, I guess. Speaking of some fairly big news for some fans out there, partially including myself, but also there are some people who are like, really? And I say that, and you'll understand why when I say this. Static joins the Titans as DC sets up a massive new Amazon storyline. Now, some would say, why are you doing this now? It's way too late. You know, so others are saying DC so white, and it is. You know, some people just don't care, but there's a lot of people who are out there like, yay, about time, da 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 da. You know, realistic, something like this could have very well been happened a long time ago. You know, I think I feel like this is kind of similar to when, you know, Cyborg ended up on the Justice League. And of course in the movies, because they needed a black dude. Because, you know, They're not wasn't saying that, but you know, and apparently they didn't go for John. Well, John Stewart probably a similar way, but you know, just but the version of the Justice League that has Cyborg on it would basically kind of rang like that. I mean, some would argue John Stewart also, but you know what? John Stewart earned his spot, period. So yeah, but now Static is now going to join the Titans, not the Justice League. Because heaven forbid, you know, heaven forbid he's on the Justice League. You know, that's basically saying, hey, you know, you're going to become a Robin. I don't know. Actually, it's not the same, but still. Static could have been on Justice League, should have been on the Justice League well before now. You know, it is what it is. I mean, it's cool, great. But if they're doing this just to try to draw in, you know, more black readers, I don't know how this is gonna work out for them. But either way, if you're watching the video version, you can see the current lineup of the Titans. It is not the Titans that you would know of, that would usually also include Cyborg, you know, Nightwing. Well, Nightwing is on here, but and Cyborg's on here, but like, you know, no Starfire. Although, where is Starfire? Because I guess one Starfire was. Oh wait, and I think all of this happened during this new team happened during the course of DC Carol, because folks was out doing that thing, and somebody had to come deal with Earth stuff. So that's why you got Superboy on here, and I don't know who some of these other people are. I do know Wonder Girl. I do know that one, and spoilers on here. So, you know, I haven't been keeping up with Titans to keep up with how, you know, this version kind of came up, or things leading up to this came up, because it's only been in the last couple of issues. But according to this article, ahead of the storyline, New Titans number 37 will include a 4-page prelude focused on Virgil in the aftermath of his recent return. Which, you know, on the other side, he's not gone anywhere. He has been around, by the way. But yeah, the story would bridge the gap between the Kids Are All Fight, which I've never read, and the Dakota Incident, which that's also a weird one because yeah, while also setting up his reunion with John Kent and the larger mission ahead. Von Gloom says, thought Virgil was an adult in that recent Dakota book. Was he DH? No. Well, you talking about that's different. That was a Batman Beyond book, team up with him and Batman Beyond. And yes, he was an adult, but that was, again, Batman Beyond in the future, not current, you know, current present day DCU. So that was not that. But since they're tying this into the Dakota Incident, of which that was basically an addendum to the new history of the DCU and what they did there, I guess that kind of makes sense. I don't know, because even what happened in that book was kind of weird. But yeah, basically in that book, basically Static's kind of back in action currently, wherein I guess he kind of wasn't previously. So yeah, I mean, and there have been a couple of other Static miniseries prior to that Batman Beyond thing, by the way, in which he was still like currently aged and young adultish. So if that's not any more confusing, I don't know what is. But yeah, so there was those two, the Nicholas River Ivory joints. They were good. You should check them out if you haven't. Those 2 volumes of that. And then there was the Batman Beyond Static crossover, which was set in the future. So there you go. Anyway, Static is joining the Titans, not the Justice League. So I love how people got hyped for the fact that he's on the secondary team and not like the Justice League. I'd have been more hyped if he was on the Justice League. Even then, it would have been kind of pandering, but I would have been like, yeah, okay, I might pick up this book a little bit more. But it's just the Titans. And I shouldn't say just the Titans. They might as well still be the Teen Titans, but they're not, you know, they're all grown up now. So, yeah. New Titans number 38 is written by Tate Brownbull and with art by Sammy Brosry. Tate Brownbull is writing Batgirl right now, and that book's pretty good. So I suspect it's probably all right. The issue features a main cover from but August 19th, that's a good date, is when New Titans 38 is going to show up, and that's when Virgil's, I guess, going to join the Titans. Not the Justice League. Not the Justice League. Let's rein it in, folks. Let's rein it in. This would be a lot more hype if it was the Justice League. Personally. That's just me. Anyway, you know what? Titans, for the secondary big team, sure. I'm surprised they didn't put him on Justice Society. You know what? Let me stop. This is cool that they're using him more, because they really haven't been using a whole lot of the Dakota folks outside of Dakota coded books. The Mount Soul coded books. So I guess this is good, but also, come on, you could do better than that, DC. Put him as on the damn Justice League. But they ain't gonna do that. So but shout out to Wonder Girl, whose name I can't remember. She's also needs her own book, because I like that character. Next up, though, as I try to speed this on along a little bit more, DC just officially killed off one of Batman's most iconic villains, and I feel like that's doing a lot of heavy lifting. That word iconic, because people overuse that way too much. I'm just gonna say. But spoilers for Batman 163, which I think came out this week, now that I think about it. So I'm not reading it. I think of Agent 70 is. So, but yes, Batman 163, the latest installment of Batman Hush 2, sees the eponymous villain Hush assassinated by Talia al Ghul. Spoiler alert. Sorry. The shocking turn of events occurs during a brawl between the Dark Knight, Red Hood. Wait, also known as Red Hood? Who wrote that in Hush? Anyway, the altercation is ultimately concluded by a single bullet fired into the head of the bandaged master criminal by the daughter of Ra's al Ghul. Depending on how you say it, it's Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, whichever way. And the mother of Bruce Wayne's son, by the way. Yes, that's Damien's mama. So, before he suffered his fatal gunshot, he manages to stab his enemy in the heart. That doesn't, who did he stab? Was it Batman or was it Red Hood? One of them I don't care about. The other ones I don't care that much about. Regardless, this forces Talia to carry her beloved. Okay, well, we know who it is. Either way, I love how this article is like, yep, adding to the tally of Batman deaths, which I know has been a couple. So, spoiler if you weren't reading it, it's fine. You can still read it and see, because I feel like that's probably enough for folks to be like, oh, what happened? Also, this art, I know this is coming from whatchamacallit, but that looks fake. This if you're watching the video version, this image that is coming from one of the Dark Knight movies looks fake and AI. Anyway. Okay, Zebra, what are you doing? DC Comics, also there's a lot of DC news. I didn't intend for that, but I needed to pad the news. DC Comics also officially reveals Batman Sinister 6, apparently. So this is from the Matt Fraction, Jorge Jimenez book, apparently. Let's see. So yeah, Batman 12 variant cover comes from Ryan Sook. So this is going to be from Batman number 12. This is coming up. Okay. Gotcha. There's only 5 of the 6 assassins who have arrived in Gotham, supposedly with a mission to take out Batman. Begs the question, who's the 6th member? And why are they saying is... See, I don't know if DC is actually... Well, I assume DC may be saying that I'm not reading Batman, but... I thought this article was saying that this is going to be a Sinister Six like, and it still feels like it reads that way. But regardless, that's the thing that's coming to Batman. Next up, Che Grayson reveals how Absolute Catwoman turned Selena into DC's deadliest spy. So yeah, this is an interview. I won't go too far into it with the artist of the upcoming Absolute Catwoman book. But we find out in this article / interview that, yeah, Selena knows how to steal. She's a thief. She's got a bunch of gadgets, and she knows how to use them. Absolute Catwoman #1, as I said, is launching June 10th from DC, which reunites Grayson with co-writer Scott Snyder. Yeah, so therein lies that. You can read more about that in this article, and peep out this this concept art from it. There you go. Also, is Selena Black in this? Because I ain't, girl. Anyway, next up, DC digs into sci-fi, horror, and Supergirl history with the new DC Finest collections on DC Universe Infinite. Not a sponsor, just saying it's a thing, a resource that I wish they would give us access to. But yeah, beginning this week, or I guess as of this article, readers can check out the following new additions to the platform, which is DC Finest Supergirl Girl of Steel, because Supergirl's coming out, so you got to put more stuff out there for her. Superboy, the super dog from Krypton. Science fiction, The Gorilla World. Let's see, The Devil's Doorway. Supergirl, Die and Let Live. So yeah, all these are curated works that are going to hit the platform starting next month, starting at the beginning of next week, because once again, Supergirl's coming out next month. And there's probably, if you are of the type who maybe want to check out a resource, again, this is not a sponsor, so I have no reason to do this, but Marvel Unlimited is a good resource that we like, checking out old books. DC Universe is basically, DC Universe Infinite, is supposed to be that for the DC Universe. So, and they're steadily adding stuff over there. And I'm pretty sure by the time Supergirl comes out, there may or may not be a code for folks to try out DC Universe Unlimited. Because I know there have been a couple of people I had asked me about, or at least one person had asked me about it. So if you want to try it out for probably a week or whatever the case may be, whatever that code should rear itself, then yeah, you can try it out. You can probably read some stuff on there for free now, just sign up, but not much. Trust me on that one. There is stuff out there that you can read for free, but yeah, nothing you probably want to dig into. Like if you were trying to write like White Knight Batman White Knight, or Superman of all ages, or for all seasons, or Red Sun Superman, even for the shit like that. Something from Black Lightning. Hell, he's got stuff. None of that is free, I'm pretty certain. So, or even if you wanted to dig in some old Titan stuff, like New Teen Titans or something, I don't know. But again, not a resource, just saying that they're throwing some stuff on here. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man 1000 presents the biggest issue in Spider history. So yeah, everybody, I was going to say everybody and their mamas are going to be writing for this, but there is going to be a lot of people writing for this book. I mean, it's a big book. It's an anniversary book. 1,000 issues, folks. So Joe Kelly and Paper Raz, I think, are doing the main story, because Joe Kelly's writing Spider at this point. So according to this article from Marvel, Amazing Spider-Man 1000 will be led by an epic story by Joe Kelly and Pepe Larraz that serves as both a culmination of their work on the title so far and a pivotal moment that launches into the next phase of their acclaimed run. I don't know if acclaimed what I would be using, but okay, sure. Then the giant size spectacular continues with special anniversary stories by unprecedented lineup of renowned creators, from legendary Spider-Man creators and modern superstars to surprise collaborators, such as John Romita Jr., Frank Miller, Peach Momoko, Stuart Eminem, Brian Michael Bendis, Dan Slott, of course, J.M. DeMatteis, Patrick Gleason, Marcos Martin, and more. And apparently making his Marvel Comics debut, screenwriter Noah Hawley of Alien Earth, because that's one of the easiest ways to get into writing comic books, is being someone who wrote for something for TV nowadays. Yeah. But anyway, September 16th is when Amazing Spider-Man number 36, aka the Legacy number 36, Legacy number 1000 is going to hit the stands. You know, more on that in the dearth of fan coverage that is surely going to be out there for this is coming forth. Let's see, more Spider-Man news. New Spider-Man book reveals a new look at a key Spidey ally, that being... So if you watch Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, you know that one Doctor Strange shows up here and there. And I guess the art book of which this is talking about, The Art of Marvel Animation's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man by Ramin Zahid, is going to, you know, I guess bring up some more Doctor Strange stuff. So yeah, if you want an art book on Your Friendly Neighborhood, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, then that book is coming your way. Looking for a date. June 23rd, 2026. I am still looking for season 2 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. That's what I want. Art books are great, but give me the second season. I know we're about to get X-Men 97, so we're not gonna get that anytime soon. But still. Next up, though, some very, 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 very sad news. I hate to even talk about it, but here we go, folks. We've talked about this before also, by the way. Stan Lee returns through AI as 11 Labs launches voice, image, and music partnerships. And why is his family not stopping this? Well, I feel like we probably know the answer to that. But anyway, yeah, Stan Lee is making a digital return in 2026 through a new partnership with between 11 Labs and Stan Lee Universe. So this has been announced today, actually, of this recording, or it's going to be the day before this recording. So let's see. The Marvel Legends voice and likeness is going to be... Wait, the collaboration will bring the Marvel Legends voice and likeness to the company's AI platform across voice, image, and music tools. The project is part of a growing push in entertainment to use AI technology to preserve personalities. That's a bullshit statement right there. And legacies of iconic creators. That's a bullshit statement right there. The announcement also follows last year's AI Stan Lee hologram experience at LA Comic Con, which was the last time we talked about this stupid mess. So 11 Labs is taking a wide approach by integrating Lee into multiple creative products. His AI-generated voice is now available through the 11 Labs iconic marketplace and 11 Reader app using professional recordings designed to capture his recognizable warmth, humor, and storytelling cadence. Oh, jeez Louise. Ugh. So yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And this article kind of goes into what else that they're bastardizing his voice and whatnot for. So therein lies that. If you're interested in that, go suck on something. Next up, Marvel announces a 7-part The Book of Boba Fett series. So let's see, it's going to be a 7-part series by Rodney Barnes and Will Sliney. This series marks the exciting comic book debut of several key characters, including Garza Flip, Doc Strassi, and Mock Shays' Major Domo, and more. This is coming in September. Sliney is also drawing the fall of Kylo Ren in August, according to this article. So yeah, shout out to Rodney Barnes. He's doing the Book of Boba Fett book. So yay, and I assume this takes place somewhere around the time or after the Disney Plus series, presumably. Next up, though, in a little bit of Toy Corner, Thundercats Ultimates Lionel and the Robert Burbles set has pre-order is up for pre-order. And honestly, I was looking at this picture and I thought something else was going on here. I'm sitting here like, what's going on? But you know, if you're watching the video version, you can see that Lionel's been tied up by 2 Robert Burbles. Because, you know, that's the thing that has happened in, oh shoot. And that reminds me of something else that I forgot to put in the lineup. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. Sorry, folks. This is on the fly. Also, there's a apparently there's a Masters of the Universe donut collection at Krispy Kreme. By the way, in case you're wondering about that, because you know that movie's also coming out. So yeah, go yeah, go figure. Blu-ray, I can't remember. I should probably not be doing this right now. Oh, well. So I know there is this, folks. There's going to be a steel book. I think we may or may not have talked about this, but the Masters of the Universe Revelation and Revolution are getting steelbook releases on June the 2nd, just because the movie's coming out. So therein lies that. But I believe also that there's going to be a collection of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, like the TV series. Y'all know the one, He-Man, you know. That one, but I can't seem to find where that is. So maybe I'll save that for next week, because I know I saw it out there on social media. So, but regardless, back to this. Yeah, if you want this Lionel and the Robert Burbles, that's gonna set you back $150 and should ship out this November. Comes with Lionel, 2 Robert Burbles, the Sword of Omens, of course, you know, the claw shield, a dagger, and you know, other accoutrements. So there you go. Possibly worth the price, possibly not. Who's to say? Next up, though. So let's see. This is the 2027 Age of Evolution Commander listing found for. I have no idea who this is, but Commander Thunderwing apparently. So I guess this is a 3-stage transformer that is coming out for next year. So yeah, there you go. There is that. Last but not least, My Hero Academia officially brings back Mirko in a stunning new Rabbit Hero reveal. And this is a reveal for My Hero Ultra Rumble, the video game. So yeah, Mirko is coming to the game. Let's see, will join the game's roster as a playable character in season 17. I did not know that it has been that long. I mean, that's probably not long depending on how the season is, but apparently the game's been out for a minute. But May 27th, so as you get this article, I mean, as you listen to this show on the audio version, it's already out. And you probably already know about it if you're a fan of that game. I've never played it, don't know what it is. But yeah, Mirko. Sure. There you go. And that, folks, is it for the news section. We're going to get one last ad read in real quick. And that ad is for Adam and Eve. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to. One of these days, I'm going to do that one, though, because I don't even. Half of these, I don't even know if we still have these or not. But we're going to do the standard. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, Funko Pops, you know, Marvel Legends, Transformers, Magic the Gathering cards, but you know, go to your local shop for those. But also, anyway, for every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps keep us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon through CSPN.us. Do it today. All right, folks, that is it for this here show. And unfortunately, I yapped for 2 hours by myself. You would think it would have been less time. Crazy work. Either way, though, Agent 70 should be back next week. We should be talking about Mandalorian and Grogu next week. As well as... Hang on a second. Next week is... 6. When does Supergirl come out? Hold on. Hold, please. I think that's at the end of the... Yeah, June 26th. So around the time that the Marvel Superheroes Magic the Gathering set comes out. So therein lies that, folks. So yeah, we don't have anything until Supergirl comes out at the end of next week. Also, what is this? Oh. Okay. So hey, guess what, folks? If you happen to look up Supergirl on Google, this is the thing that happens. So you see down here at the bottom, there's a little paw print. That music you just heard comes from that. So yeah, that's what that Google is doing. So fun, I guess. Either way, Letter Days, Von Gloom, always happy to have you here. But regardless, like I said, I don't think we have anything going on next week. No movie protocol or anything like that. So books next week. As usual, Agent 7 will be back. So I have been your friend in the neighborhood, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at NewsNerd on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_7 you can find on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. You can find this here podcast on the Coleslaw Podcast Network, the CSPN.us. Do it today. You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coleslaw Podcast Network SoundCloud page. You can also find us recording every Thursday night, mostly, unless we're going through movie protocol. Thursday nights, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, aka closer to 10 o'clock. YouTube.com/TheKliqNation. That's TheKliqNation. And or Twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. Both of those, we will be live on both of those places. Twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles also as well. You will hear and or see me probably playing through some comic book based video games at a certain time, because I still need to finish Marvel Cosmic Invasion and Marvel Targon Fighting Souls come up, and that Invisible Fighting Games is out there. There's a whole lot of stuff out there, folks, that we could just go crazy on, but I need to find a place to put the VODs for that, because they won't be able to stay up on Twitch that long, unfortunately. But that being said, though, be back next week. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace. As Agent 70 will say, peace. One. And he would have a pithy thing on here, which maybe will be in post, but